Bloody Mary. What makes her instrumental and or important to the study of compromise and conflict? Who was she? Faith?
She was a Catholic, eldest daughter of King Henry VIII.
Eldest daughter, right? What makes her so instrumental to the Tudor dynasty, to her family line? Why is she so important? Faith again?
Because she was the first queen of the Tudors in the Tudor line, and also she was a Catholic. She wanted to change the religion of London back to Catholic.
To Catholicism. Why was the religion changed? Solomon, nice and loud.
Mary's father wanted to divorce from Mary's mother.
Why? Cavante, nice and loud.
Because Catherine wasn't giving him a son.
Catherine had not bore him a son. Did Catherine try?
Yes.
How many times did Catherine give birth, Sanaya? 6 times, right? How many boys were in the lineage?
2.
Exile? 1. Come on. She had 6 pregnancies. The first baby was a boy, wasn't it? Remember, we learned that. Then he died. And then she had a set of twins, if I remember correctly. Oh no, they thought she was pregnant with twins, but she wasn't. Her stomach just did not go down. It was strange. Catherine had gone into her secret quarters, which most women, queens, do when they're pregnant, and she wasn't even pregnant. Anybody's ever seen a woman who's just got a heavy stomach? Yeah, so that's kind of what she had going on. So the king had sons, but they had died, and the queen that ultimately lived was Mary. Was Mary the first? Where does she fall in the line? Was she the first child that he had, middle child, or the last child?
First.
The last surviving, but was she the first, middle, or last child? Anxiety. Middle, no. She was their last child. And what did the king say when Mary was born and he had realized, look, we ain't got no sons, but what? Catherine is still, no. Catherine and I are still blank, therefore we have the rest of God will provide us a son. Catherine and I are still young. Y'all don't remember that? No? All right, he said, Catherine and I are still young. Therefore, we can bear a child at any time. All right, so we know Queen Mary was the first queen in the Tudor dynasty. But we have to figure out, we want to talk real quick, how did she ultimately take the throne? Was it given to her?
No.
No. What do you mean? It was her right, wasn't it? Michaela, is that her hand? What?
So her stepbrother gave the throne to his cousin, which wasn't really the happening.
Why did he give or bequeath? Everybody say bequeath.
Bequeath.
Why did he bequeath the throne to a cousin and not the rightful heir? Faith.
Because William J. Gray was Protestant, and he wanted to keep the religion, the Church of England Protestant.
He wanted to keep the church under the auspices or the head of the king or the monarch. Because who led the church prior to the king separating from the church? Kennedy? The Pope. Right? All right. And why was one of the reasons that the Pope what was one of the reasons that the king decided to break away from the church again? He wanted who? What was the woman's name? Xavier. Anne Boleyn. Anne Boleyn was his boo, right? What was her ultimate fate, though? Jada. She was not married to his brother. Catherine was married to Prince Arthur. Remember? Who's Prince Arthur? King Henry's older brother, right? Catherine was married to him, but he what?
Died.
Right. And we were not, or not we, but they were not in a position to let go of or to do away with the treaty that had been signed between Spain and England with Catherine and Arthur's marriage. So she ultimately married the younger brother, Henry. But there was a problem with that. We had researched it. The problem with that was this. When Catherine and Henry when Henry wanted to divorce Catherine, one of the things that he tried to bring up against her as a cause for the divorce was that she was married to his brother, True. But not only was she married to the brother, Henry wanted to prove that if in fact she was married to his brother, they had to have consummated their marriage. What does it mean to consummate a marriage? That's a good word to look up. What would you say, Cavante?
So,
Affirm it. Okay, that's a nice politically correct way to say it. How do you affirm a marriage? Michaela may have the answer. That's probably why she's giggling. Is that why you're giggling, Michaela? Is that why you're giggling? Go ahead, Christian.
Make it marriage or relationship complete
By having sexual relations. All right? So to consummate a marriage means that it is now a legitimate marriage because the two of them had sexual relations. Which wife did Henry not be able to have sexual relations with, and why? Faith, Kennedy. No. No. Derek. No. Anne Boleyn, they had a baby. What was the baby name from Anne Boleyn and the King? Say it like you mean it. Elizabeth. Boy, you better not read your notes. That team gonna lose some points. Go ahead, Exotic. And of, not clothes.
Scots.
No. Go ahead, Tom.
Anne of Cleves.
Anne of Cleves. Anne of Cleves. And why was he not able to consummate his marriage with the Queen, Queen Anne? Michaela?
Because the relationship between them was kind of wrong, because he had sent his official painter to go paint her, but he painted her too good,
Too well.
and made her seem prettier than she actually was.
Okay. What was the thing that the artist focused on in her portrait? Faye, Kennedy?
Her dress.
Her dress. She had the best of German regalia, wardrobe. And so the dress was so nice that he focused so much on how beautiful her dress was that he ultimately said, well, her face has got to be as pretty as the dress. But when Anne got to the king, wait a minute, before we get to that, did the king fly Anne in? How you get her here? Get her there. I'm sitting in the same hands. I'm gonna call them folks. Sydney, this is, remember we talked about how you earn participation points. This is it. How did he get her there? Rodrigo? A boat? Okay, but he had two routes. He didn't take the boat route, he had two routes. He mapped out two routes that we identified as primary sources. Kalani?
He had two maps for a land route and a water route.
And a water route. Why two routes? Why did he have to come up with two specific routes to get his new bride to London or to Britain? Anxiety? Huh? There was a war. Why? Christian. Huh? Well, no, we're not worried about how expeditious. We're talking about why would he want to have two routes? And Isaiah told us that there was a war. But why was there a war going on? Kalani? Faith.
The divorced King Henry, after he divorced Catherine, she like told her father.
Her cousin,
Her
a
cousin.
nephew, I'm sorry. Her nephew was the Emperor Charles V, who was the most powerful emperor in Europe at the time. And so she reaches out to her nephew and she says, listen, my husband, the king, is trying to divorce me. You need to step in. Well, the emperor, being upset, said, you know, you're right. So, believe it or not, Catherine and Henry's marriage was never annulled in Europe, or by the emperor's standard. Their marriage was annulled only under England law, right? Because they had to break away from the Catholic Church in order to do so. They were married under what? Catholic law, weren't they? Therefore, they legally had to be divorced the same way. And so the king tried to go around it, and the emperor was not pleased. So yes, there was a war, and so the emperor had ships out on the ocean, remember? And because he had ships out on the ocean, it was much easier for Anne of Cleves to be transported from Germany to Great Britain via a land route. All right, so she got there. She gets there. They don't hit it off well, and she ultimately, and this is the last piece that we're going to talk about, she ultimately becomes his wife. All hands, she can have 1,000 hands up in the room. They hit it up, they don't hit it off, but he doesn't want to be rude and disrespectful. So he says, well, I gotta divorce her, because she ain't my type, but she didn't do anything wrong. So I'm gonna look out for her and give her a little something down. You know what I mean? Like Kalani would do, you know. I don't like her, but I'm gonna look out for her, right? What would you say, Briasia? How rude! That's my sister. No, it's not. That's your ex-wife. Be real, right? And ultimately, when it was that she would come around, she was given royal treatment, was she not? Because she's the queen, the king's sister. Imagine having to go from being known as the bride or the queen to being known as a sister. You got to know that the shade was thick. The king was dealing with all this stuff without Anne even knowing. She didn't even know that she was about to get a divorce. Like, she didn't even know. She didn't even know. All right, so that's that. Good conversation. I'm going to upload for you the parts that we were supposed to upload. Let me see this video.